We got Jon on here.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, it's great to have you, man.
Thank you, man. It's great to be here.
Yeah, where are you from, bud?
I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York.
How was that?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say it was a little bit of a rough life.
So you met Joey.
Yeah.
You guys hung out and stuff.
Yeah, Joey's
in
from
New York.
Yeah, well, not in New York, here.
No.
I don't think he'd be. He'd stick out like a sore thumb where I'm from.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I went from 0 to 100 really quick.
Yeah.
I skipped the weed part. I didn't do pills. I just went straight from alcohol to straight cocaine. I mean, I have my stints of crack too, which is like super cocaine.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, my Latino culture, it's pretty much partying and dancing, having fun with your family and stuff like that. So a lot of alcohol was included. I would say that was my beginning of it. Getting not tipsy, not, okay. I got blackout drunk.
Like Saturday nights, you'd play
on
music.
A Wednesday.
On a Wednesday?
Yeah, on a Wednesday, yeah.
And just get plastered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're around your family, you don't really think you're doing anything wrong or going in a bad, because everyone's drinking and having a good time, and you're just participating with your family.
Yeah, and you're definitely safe.
Yeah.
You have no worries.
You don't have to go anywhere or drive anywhere. How'd you get introduced to cocaine, though?
So I was sitting in the back of my car at the time with my friends, family.
Yeah.
And we were plastered. I could barely move. And I hear some sniffing behind me. Everyone's sitting in the back seat. I had a nice little wide seat in the back of my car. And I remember I was like a newborn baby. Couldn't even hold my own head up.
Yeah.
I was so wasted. And I was like, man, I got to drive home. Even though home was like 0.2 miles away, I still had my car. I just see this Mount Everest size bump on a key.
A portable little Mount Everest for a good time.
Yeah, and I was like, man, how do I do it?
Yeah.
And they were like, you just smell it really hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I lean over, take a big sniff, and that's a feeling I would never in my life forget.
Did it sober you up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, right after that first hit, the first thing I did and the first thing I felt was a big rumbling in my stomach. I'm like, what is that? And the alcohol in my stomach said, you know what? We're leaving.
Yeah.
And I projectile vomit all over my back seat, all over the sidewalk.
Was anyone in there with you when that happened?
Yeah, my cousins were in there. I puked on my cousin. I'm not going to say where I puked. I went home. I wasn't sober, but I was high for something else. I remember almost having X-ray vision and being able to see everything.
Smarter and had superpowers.
I was like the $1 million man. I probably left handprints on my steering wheel. That's how high I was.
It was like a cure for everything you ever wanted to feel like. It put you in the zone. It made you feel like you wanted to feel all day, every day.
Yeah, what it did was, I was bullied probably until, right after my dad left my mom. I was around 5. And right after that, I became a little introvert, became shy. I was kind of a coward. I was scared. I got bullied a lot. So, up until I knew how big I was and how strong I can be, then I was kind of a shy kid, nervous. Especially living in the area where I lived, that was a big no-no. You had to be outgoing, you had to be tough, you had to be strong, you had to have strong skin. I didn't really have that when my dad left. I was raised by all girls my entire life. So when I did take that first hit, it made me the person I wanted to be. Mind you, 30 minutes at a time. It made me feel like the person I was. I wanted to be. So I liked it.
Like talkative, outgoing.
Yeah.
Not introverted.
Yeah.
Extroverted. Yeah, I dealt with being an introvert too. I just didn't know what to say to people. I didn't know how to act in social situations.
Yeah.
I went to a small private school growing up, and then I got into public school when I was in high school, and it was just like I got a small fish in like an ocean. You just don't feel like where to go, where to fit in, and yeah, man, I didn't feel good about myself either. And when I was drinking alcohol, it made me feel good, like how you said, like, it made you feel like,
Yeah.
you know, how you wanted to feel. And then you drink it socially, so you start feeling like, you know, oh, this is an okay thing to do. If I start drinking and using and other people are doing it around me, then I fit in and I feel good while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And so that's where my brain correlated with fitting in was with alcohol. And so I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Everyone was drinking all the time, and I wanted to fit in, so that's how it worked out. And that's how it starts out for a lot of us, is alcohol. It eventually will evolve into other things, because you just, you know, you want to feel better, and alcohol doesn't cut it. And eventually you move into things like cocaine.
And I was really never a weed guy. And, you know, I remember my best friend, when he started smoking weed, I was drugless. I mean, I did nothing till like 19. And I remember one day he called me up. He said, "Hey man, you got $3? I'm trying to buy a Nick, $5 worth of weed." And I was like, "Bro, you cannot do that. I would never give you money for drugs."
Yeah, how could you?
How
I
dare
cannot believe this.
Yeah.
I will tell your mother.
you can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm railing lines as long as the table.
I wanted to be a weed guy, because everyone's like, "Oh man, you smoke some weed and listen to music, and it's so tight." And I always got paranoid. That paranoia came from internal issues that we didn't solve with ourselves. So when we would smoke, it would bring that out of us. And maybe other people didn't have the same issues we were dealing with. And you get high, and all of a sudden it would just bring out all that insecurity. Yeah, so how did it take off from that first time you had the cocaine?
Oh, the first time, you know, I didn't do it for a while after that. Then I got introduced to it a little more. You know, and I had just me and my buddy. It would be super social. Only time we did it was we went to a bar, a club, went to hang out. Never thought about doing it in my house. Never thought about doing it in my car. Never thought about, you know, doing any of that. It was only pure when I drank. To sober up, I'll do some cocaine. And then I started partying more. Then I had a good job, which gave me a lot of money. I was still living with my mom's, so I had a lot of money to spare. Before, it was like a 20 bag of cocaine every week, you know, and I'd share it with my friend. And we were high for like 5 hours. And I'm telling you right now, it was shit cocaine.
Yeah.
It was bad, but we were super fucking high. And yeah, we smoked like 30 cigarettes in 20 minutes, you know. I remember one time we were parked the supermarket Pathmark in the Bronx next to Soundview Avenue. These cops, we just took a big hit. Well, what we thought was a big hit. These cops just did a U-turn really fast because we hotboxed the car with cigarettes. So the cops thought we were smoking weed, and we were stuck. We didn't talk to each other for like 20 minutes. We were so stuck, our jaws were shut.
Yeah.
You know, and they turn around, "Hey, how's it going, man?" I was like, good, you know. Made up this lie. That's where the beginning of me being such a big liar was, because I was a huge liar. You know, the cops came, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, I just completely made something up. Started tearing up, said, "You know, my girlfriend cheated on me, and I'm just with my best friend."
I just started smoking cigarettes. Like,
yeah, we're just hanging out, and
don't tell on me. I'm sorry.
And I got a freaking 20 bag of cocaine in my palm like this, and the officer goes, "Man, you have someone named Castro in the precinct?" That's my last name. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, "Oh, cool, we're going to jail." Then he flashes his badge. His badge said Castro too. So he was like, "Dude, that was fucking close."
What? He wasn't related to you,
No,
though, right?
he
Coincidentally had the last name.
Yeah, coincidentally had the last
name.
name.
And then God was like, "You know, I'm gonna give you a little pass here today."
Yeah, so it was a big warning, dude. So then we just went to go get another bag because our high was gone.
Yeah, oh,
dude,
for sure. Sober you up.
We were stuck. Then we saw blue lights turn on. "Good evening, officer. How you doing today?"
There's nothing more of a buzzkill than cops getting involved.
Dude.
I've been in situations where I've been so high, and then all of a sudden a cop starts talking to me, and I forgot I even did drugs, and I was completely, like, just complete eye contact with them. Mm-hmm. "Yes, sir. Yes. Have a good evening, officer."
Oh yeah, I was instantly
have a good officer evening.
Yeah, I called them ossifers.
Officers.
Yeah, they were rough, but dude, I can't believe they completely fell for it. So that lie right there set it off for me.
And so when you were on coke, you just would lie to get out of situations or get into situations, or
At first, I was fine. I was free. I was single. I got way more social, way more ballsy, way more like confident, and like just just the new me, and I freaking loved it.
how do you think you? I mean, I know that you felt like you were sliding by and everything was going good, and you're being smooth. But how do you think you looked when all this was going on?
I thought I was doing fine
Yeah.
because I had at 19, I had a daughter, and her mom left the Dominican Republic to go to college, right? So she left her with me and the grandmother. So we took care of her, and I made sure my daughter had everything she needed, she had. Because I was making money, I was able to pay my bills, pay my cars, pay my insurance. I was able to take care of everyone. So I thought I was doing fine. I thought I was doing just great. This probably lasted years that I felt like I was doing okay. There were times where I would go too far. Like there would be times where me and my boys would hang out, we'll do a bunch of coke, and they'd be done. Like, all right, I'm good. I'm going home. And I'd say, my lying ass, I'd say, yeah, me too. With me texting the dealer, hey, I need $60 more of coke. So that's when I started noticing, hey, how could these guys finish and not want to do anymore? But I need to. Because the second my high went away, I felt my past come back. I felt my fears come back. I felt my insecurities. I felt my self-esteem go back down. And I didn't want that. So I needed more cocaine to bring that up. So it was kind of my confidence drug. It was like Limitless. That was my Limitless pill.
Yeah, like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh man. I love that movie.
Oh yeah, I love that movie too.
Yeah, I feel like that too. It just unlocks everything in your brain when you get the drug of choice, man. And it's like you understand the world entirely, and how you feel like you're a few steps ahead of any situation or problem in your past, and it's almost like an exoskeleton of armor that you have on that you're able to get through any situation with. So when did you feel like it got completely out of control after that?
I linked cocaine with my success because my confidence gave me a boost at that moment. So I blamed me getting good jobs on cocaine. I would always tell everyone, hey, man, if it wasn't for cocaine, I wouldn't have even applied for this job. I wouldn't have even gotten this job. So I thought it was okay. But when things started going bad was when my daughter's mom came back from the Dominican Republic, no college degree, pregnant, and married to someone else in the Dominican Republic. And she came back 8 months pregnant, gave birth in the United States, took the baby back to the Dominican Republic. Not my daughter, her new daughter. I was ignorant. I didn't really have any education when it came to like the law. What I didn't do was take full custody of my daughter. We were still half and half, and the address to where my daughter lived was still where her mother was. When she came back pregnant. She came back with her new husband. When she left, she had to put me on child support.
So she got you like that.
Yeah.
Sunk the stinger in, or the mosquito and just started sucking blood out. And I was like, I'll get him even.
Dude, I was sending money to her for the 4 years.
Yeah.
I was buying her tickets to come see my daughter.
Yeah.
I was buying tickets for my daughter to see her. I was taking care of my daughter fully, buying all her things. And she came back, and not only did she put me on child support, she put me on back child support for those 4 years that I took care of her, which I could not prove. So I went from happy life, I'm high all the time, I'm doing good, I'm making money, to $8,000 in the hole. Barely getting up on time because I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. I had to start working at 6. Life was already rough. She limited the time I could see her. She, I'm sure every dad would say this, she made lies about me in the court so I can not see her more. So that was really the base of the destruction that was coming. It got me to the point where I was on the train tracks, waiting for the train. I looked at the rails. I looked at the train tracks. And I know the first one's blank, the second one's blank, the third one's live. I was like, man, you know, I could just end this right now. And this was only when I was sober. I never felt like this when I was high. I felt like the best father when I was high. I looked at the third rail. I was like, you know what? That's a shitty way to die. I looked over the ledge. It's like, you know, if I jump head first, I think I'll be all right. I think I'll just die instantly, you know, and just get it over with.
And all these problems will go away.
Yeah.
When you're in that deep under something, especially when we are in our addiction, it seemed like an impossibility to ever get out and correct this. Like, this seemed like death would have been a relief in a way to get out of this situation that we were in.
Yeah.
And to look at it now from the past and see that I can't believe, we're both sitting here clean. How long did you say that you have sober right now?
About a year and a half.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive. You're about to tell yourself. If you were to tell yourself that in the past and say, hey, if you just give out all the control and just start, doing things a little bit differently, that all of a sudden you'll be a year and a half clean and be able to share your story and help other people with the same problem, you wouldn't believe it. Like, no. I can't believe it neither, man.
No, I took that plane from New York to here, and in that plane ride, aside from being fucking miserable that I was fucking sober, I was so miserable. I mean, the plane ride helped because I had never taken a plane before, and it was horrifying to me. Just thinking about the plane. So that kind of took some of my time. But this whole plane ride, I'm like, this is all a joke. Because there's no way I'm going to freaking stop, dude. There's no way. It feels too good. I never thought that I would be here. And honestly, this is my first try.
That's crazy. It took me a million tries.
Yeah.
I always thought I would one day just be able to quit and it wouldn't be worth it anymore, and I would just give it up and all of a sudden life would be great. But I couldn't imagine living life without having that shield, that backup, that armor of the drug to have in situations where you would need to deal with. Look at how we deal with things now. Think about how tough it is for us, no matter what life throws at us, we now have to deal with it without any sort of drugs or alcohol. You still see people online on Facebook saying, oh man, I need a drink tonight, and they're all, and they have that little backup to go home and they drink their problems away, but we can't ever do that anymore.
No.
We have to face everything life on life's terms, and it gets tough. And to think about that when we were right in the middle of our addiction and say we will not be able to have this anymore, how could we ever possibly do this? It was impossible. How did you get to where you felt like it finally clicked? Like how you went through treatment and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Was there one day that something clicked? Or
No. To be honest, most people think or assume that you have that God moment. I went through a lot of therapy. I think therapy saved my life. I remember when my therapist first told me, he said, I don't think drugs are your problem. I think it's your depression. And the way you deal with your depression is how you're going to dictate how you live from now on. I tended to run away. I tended to hide in the corner. I tended to hide by being a hood dude or a gangster or tough, or strong when I wasn't. I was the complete opposite. And that drug tricked me into thinking I was who I was that guy. When I was this scared little puppy. I was a scared chubby puppy in the corner in a dark room that was crying and I wanted help. I'm the type of guy who, it's still something I'm working on. Men should not show emotion. Men should not show fear. And it took intense therapy to realize that fear is bravery. That being afraid of something is showing courage. And it took me a while to know that because of where I'm from, you can't cry. You can't, you can't watch something. You can't watch a certain show. You can't,
Same. You can't listen to a certain kind of music.
Yeah.
You have to abide by these rules if you want to fit in and you want to be respected in a way.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought that vulnerability would save our lives, because I agreed with everything you just said about what worked for you in your treatment. And I just went in and talked about things that I didn't even know I had issues with, and I would say, I would just bring it up, and stuff started to clear up in your chest, in your head, and you don't realize it. But it was, best way I could have described it was like when you pull out a Christmas lights, like and then there's like a big knot, and that's how the turmoil was, and anxiety and depression in us, and the vulnerability was us slowly untangling that rope and then lighting us up to where we were able to go through life and handle things like the way that we can now. Who would ever thought that you'd be able to come here and talk about how you felt really inside about like the scared puppy. There's no way that you would have been able to say that in the past, but now comfortably as a man you're able to say like, yeah, I can say that this is how I felt, and I learned from it. I'm doing well now. I'm here to share my story. I'm here to help others, and it took me a very long time for me to catch that. And once I did, and I realized that was the key, was talking to other people like us and in the same similar situations with anxiety and depression, that would help me. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, let's run with this. And so I get into those groups, right? And I just start talking about stuff, and I'd see that other people had the same issues, and then you started feeling comfortable with sharing. Yeah. You just are able to get up, and you're braver than you ever were. You've become who who you pretended to be, basically. Yeah. I don't see how growing up we were taught to not say any of those things. And if we did say those things, it probably would have prevented a lot of the stuff we went through, a lot of the shit that happened to us. It was just trying to compensate for who we wanted to be, I guess.
I mean, one of the hardest parts about doing this was leaving where I was from. Because, when you're born and raised where I was, that type of ghetto is engineered to keep you where you are. I never knew about other places. I never knew about other people. Most white people I saw were the landlord of the building, the Jewish guy that owned the neighborhood. That's pretty much all I knew. So when I took a plane over here, I thought the second I stepped down, all I was gonna hear, "What you doing here, boy?" Like stuff like that. So I was really anxious. I'm like, dude, not only am I black, I'm Latino. I'm like a black Mexican. So when I get here, they're gonna want to kick my ass out immediately.
Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I was so nervous. Then I started meeting people here. I started coming to the rooms. I see some white kids blacker than me.
Yeah.
Over here, Like, dude, what the hell? I'm from the Bronx. And
yeah.
Look at this kid right here, And, it took me a while to get comfortable with that. It took me a while because there were a lot of politics involved from where I'm from. A lot of, once you're there, you're there. You can't get out. There's no way you can get out. And the sad truth is that for most people, where I'm from, you're never getting out. Because you're stuck, born and raised with that tradition and that mindset of being a gangster and being a hood. And that's what kept me down for a long time. What saved me a lot was when my dad moved to Virginia. That was my first interaction with other people other than people in the Bronx. This church lady, that was probably the first time I was really introduced to like God. And this church lady came in. She had probably middle class. She had plenty of money. She was doing well. Her and her husband, they were rich, I would say. Yeah. I would say they were rich. To
coming
me,
from where you were from. Yeah, that was
from a hole in the wall, sleeping with rats. Checking my cup of water, make sure there wasn't a roach in it. From that to that. Mm-hmm. And I thought people like that, rich people, were snooty and snotty, which some of them are. Mm-hmm. But this woman introduced me to a whole new world. She introduced me to God. She bought the longest trailer there, and it was dedicated to all the struggling kids in the neighborhood, and I was one of them. And that would happen every summer for years. And every time I came back to the Bronx, I just had a new mindset. Sure, staying there for the rest of the year, going to that school for the rest of the year, brought me back to that ghetto-ness, brought me back to being a hood dude, right? But every time I went back, I had a good time. It was so refreshing. It was something different,
Yeah, just to see that you weren't actually stuck in that environment from where you thought you were never going to be able to get out of. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure coming here a year and a half ago, was scary, but realizing that there's an outside world with other people that had the same issues with you, it's. I mean, yeah, I'm from bigger cities too, and I like it. I'm comfortable here. You know, I like being here. I like that other people have the same relatable issues that I have gone through, and we're able to talk because. As long as I didn't want to stay here neither. Like I came in, I thought 90 days, and then I would go back. I think things are working in the right direction, and it's all because I gave up that whole mentality of I have to go back. If I was to go back, after 90 days, I think I probably would have stayed sober for a little while,
like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too.
That's a while.
Those are my intentions too.
Yeah, and then after that, it would have collapsed. Like even after a year now, there's 13 months that I've been sober. I'm still getting the hang of certain things, and when you face life on life's terms, like we talked about. You get things thrown at you that you would never expect, and then all of a sudden you have to deal with it sober. The Bronx, where everyone knows everyone around that community, and it'd be hard to get away from some of the people or some of the things that would have reminded you of using. And I know how that can just sort of pick away and eat away at your sobriety and your recovery until it finally gets in and fucks it all up again,
Soon after I knew I had a problem, I straight up thought, you know what? I need to get religious again. So I remember dating someone that was strictly into a Jehovah's Witness. I remember getting into someone that was a Jehovah's Witness, and I thought, oh man, this is perfect. God will fix everything. I will stop using drugs immediately. And that went to shit pretty quick too. I got engaged
to
that girl, and we didn't have sex till we got married.
Got married?
Yeah, I was married. We were engaged for almost 2 years, almost 3 years. No sex. I had no sex for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And it was odd. It was weird, but I thought that's what I had to do to get where I had to be.
Were you drug free during that time?
Mostly.
Mostly? Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part. I did have slip ups. I did have some times where I messed up. But for the most part, that was my head. I was headstrong for that. Even though I thought I could be sober doing that, I wasn't.
No.
I was still getting high. Sure, not as much as before. But whenever I got into a fight with someone, whenever I got into an argument, whenever I got upset, whenever my daughter's mom made me upset, I'd get high.
Because it would dig up all that stuff that you wish that you wouldn't have to ever feel again.
Yes.
And then you felt like you were on that track to everything being perfect, but then when it would sway off, the cocaine would correct it, and you just keep going the same way that you were going.
I had 2 demons on my shoulder, man. Mm-hmm. I was trying to be the angel, and these 2 demons were talking to me the whole time. So, I got into the Jehovah's Witnesses probably 6 years. I was a Jehovah's Witness.
Did you go door to door and stuff?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I knocked on doors. I got dogs chased after me. I got doors slammed on me. I got someone throwing a puff of a blunt on my face. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. I did it all, man. Every Saturday I went to knock on doors. I didn't like it because right when I got married, I knew, dude. I was like, yeah, I'm getting high.
Yeah.
I fucking hate this life. So.
How long ago was that?
I got divorced last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So like late last year, so not too long ago.
So this is like after you came to treatment?
Yes, I came. Yeah, I came here, and when I came here, I decided to stay here. I knew that in my heart that we don't love each other. I did so much damage. I
feel you, man.
When we got married, our gifts was almost 22 grand. We almost got in gifts. And this wedding that I had was like a $60,000 wedding. It was enormous. I mean, the first thing I did was I walked into a room, I saw my name in the ice sculpture, and I was like, whoa, I should have ran. I was not ready for that. I just jumped in it thinking that God was going to automatically fix me, and it didn't. It got me worse. I did so much more coke, bro, trying to live this double life. Do you know how hard it is to walk up to the podium to read a scripture after you railed the gram.
Just sitting there shaking.
Dude, I was...
You all paranoid? Like,
yeah, I felt like everyone was staring.
Yeah.
And they were.
Yeah.
It was the worst feeling.
Did they ever call you out on it?
No. I was actually a good liar for a little while. My ex-wife didn't know I was smoking cigarettes in the bathroom for 2 years. Do you know what she told me? She thought that I just smelled like that.
Yeah. That's just how
she was so innocent. She had no idea, man.
Yeah.
No idea. I mean, the only thing that, you know, I knew I lied a lot. I didn't know it got so bad, man. When you're high, dude, your lies get so stupid.
And then you're high, so you can't remember what you lied about.
Oh,
you got to keep track of all the little things of all the details. And if you mess up any of it, it's just such a slippery slope having to lie and
it's so bad.
Lie your way out of situations.
Yeah.
You feel so bad about it too, and you start using drugs because of the guilt.
Yeah.
You feel like you're lying about.
Yeah.
You use the drugs and then you lie about it, and you feel the guilt, and it just keeps building up, man, until you get to the point like you talked about where you looked at the tracks and you thought like, I should just give this up, man, because I'm in so deep that I'll never be able to pull myself out of this. And you know, you thought by getting in right with God, by following the strict ass Jehovah's Witness lifestyle. You thought following that would all of a sudden correct all of your mistakes and correct how you felt. And it just ends up becoming, you try to be someone that you're not, and you're gonna get yourself fucked, man.
I lived a double life. I ended up doing more cocaine than ever. It got profusely bad. I mean, I remember I landed the fortunate job of doing Uber and Lyft, which was great because I would not have been able to be in one place for 8 hours. I still couldn't pay the rent. My wife at the time was still paying all the bills because I was so fucking high.
How much were you spending on coke?
Oh, easy. So after I paid him the $400 that I owed him before I got paid, probably $600 to $700 at least, and that's on the low because there were times where I spent $1,000 in a week. And that's after, and I owed him $400 still. I said, here's $1,000. I know I owe you $400, but let me get $400 more of coke. And I did so much coke to the point where my wife's family kind of had to know because I was catching sinus infections. I got a deviated septum.
You just started bleeding out of nowhere?
Dude, started bleeding out of nowhere. If I blew my nose, it wasn't boogers, it was just straight blood.
Yeah.
I would have these, because of the cut of the cocaine, they use this cut from the Dominican Republic. It's called masacumba.
What is that?
It's like a crack cut. They cut crack with it. So it's like half crack, half masacumba. It looks white, looks like coke, and you can ship it from the Dominican Republic to here. That's what my dealer did. He bought it in kilos, and half of it was cocaine, half of it was that. And that dries. It's meant to burn. It burned my nose. So I had no hair in my nose. I couldn't breathe at night. My nose got so swollen. Yeah. My face was swollen, like I was allergic to it. It got to the point where they knew. So I thought I had to stop. Like, dude, I'm gonna kill myself. So I couldn't snort anymore, physically. There were times where I could not snort cocaine. It would not go up my nose. And I would not get high because my face was so swollen. Oh, that's when I tried heroin. I tried heroin. And I'll tell you right now, I do not like that.
You didn't like
it? I did not like that high. It was...
Dude.
I see your face.
Yeah,
I know.
I was so addicted to it for so long,
Yeah.
Then I guess I gradually worked my way up to it. It would start off as like Lortabs and Oxy. And then I never shot the stuff up, but I always smoked it. And I would feel so sick. And then when I would get it, it would just wash out like a tidal wave of relief. And I'm like, oh, this is like, I wish I could just live in this. Yeah, I can see, I guess, because I was never really into cocaine.
I was, I got it. My heart has to be above 120 at beats per minute.
Yeah.
At all time. I need heart palpitations. That's how bad I think I needed to be high. So I needed my heart to skip a couple beats. And so when I tried heroin, I was driving, my friend put some on my palm. I was like, dude, what is this? That's it? It was powder. That's it? Come on, bro. Give me like a hit. Because I'm used to doing cocaine. I was like, yeah, you put a whole thing, you put a whole shovel amount on your hand, you'll be fine. But he gave me this little, he said, just try it, man. Don't, just don't. Yeah, it's okay.
I want to get you high, but I don't want to kill you.
Yeah, so I didn't know what he meant. I was like, oh, please. So I try it. We're driving. All of a sudden, instant tunnel vision. And I just see straight ahead. I go, oh shit. I gotta go home, dude. It was to the point where I was so fucked up that I had to call my dealer. I paid him a cab to come to me to serve me cocaine so I can sober. I was drooling. I was dry heaving. I was like, I don't like this. So I never tried it. I never did it again. So I was between a rock and a hard place. I'm like, dude, how the fuck am I gonna get high if I can't fucking snort coke? I was a mouth breather.
I've heard people put it they couldn't snort anymore and they couldn't do anymore, so they would actually take their underwear and they're sweating so much and they would just roll around the coke and then they would wear the underwear
what the hell?
Yeah, because they couldn't ingest it. Yeah, I've heard that at meetings before, and it's like they would just wear it and then they'll sweat because they're sweating so much it would soak in through their pores.
See, that's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
I got so my tolerance got so high. You know, I went from that 20.5 gram. No, I could do an 8-ball easy. And once I found the connect with the pure stuff, holy shit, it was end game. So I tried to smoke.
And you knew that right away when you found the better stuff too. Even you were like, oh man, now I have direct access to better shit. And you're thinking sometimes when you were guilty, you were like, oh man, I gotta quit doing this. But then when you got that connect, and you're like, oh, this is exactly what my brain wants. Mm-hmm. My heart doesn't want this. But you know that you're happy because you have that, but you feel kind of like, oh shit, I know how that is.
Yeah,
that's how it was my first time I tried heroin. I was so sick that I needed it, and I smoked a little bit, went out and had a good night, and then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do this today. But then I knew the person that gave it to me could get more.
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm done.
Yeah. I knew the dealer direct. It was him, then the Connect from the Dominican Republic. So it was just yellow, shiny, fish scaly. And I was like, holy shit. I could not take more. I remember I took what I thought was normal and I couldn't. It was way too strong. But after I couldn't snort anymore, I tried to smoke cocaine with a cigarette and with rollies. Nope, it just melts. Couldn't smoke it. I was like, dude, I can't do this. So my friend said, oh, I could get you high of a coke. I was like, no, you can't. Because I have a really big phobia, which probably saved my life, which of needles. I am horrified of needles. I'll tear up. I'll fucking cry. We're a grown 280-pound man crying, getting my blood drawn, closing my eyes, just shaking and twitching and just freaking out. Yeah. So I think that freaking saved my life. Because I think if I couldn't snort coke, I probably would shot up.
I was the same way too, and I never crossed that line.
Yeah,
that's why I never shot up. That would have meant that I never, ever again wanted to think about getting sober. Because I was always getting in trouble with my friends and family and jobs. And then I was like, oh man, I got to get this fixed one day. And then all of a sudden, if I was to take a needle and put the drugs in there and shoot it up, even my dealers were telling me, don't do it. You know?
Mine too.
Yeah, they're like, don't do it. And I'm like, why? Everyone seems to like it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like don't do it.
I remember going to my kitchen and opening the freezer. And, because my house always smelled like plastic, like some type of chemical thing. And I opened the freezer and I saw this big mountain on a plate in the freezer. Like, it was huge, bro. It's probably like a 1 foot of mountain of white stuff. I'm like, ooh, ices. So I took a little piece, put on my, taste it. I was like, this actually tastes like shit. I can't feel my mouth. I was like probably like 5.
5 years old.
Yeah, I guess I tried crack when I was 5. But after that day, my dad started putting locks on the freezers and the refrigerators, so we can only eat when we ask for food and stuff. But I go to my friend's house. It was this really odd apartment. Go upstairs and I see my other friend there that I didn't know did that. And he's like, "Here, try it." Passes me a bag. It's fucking crack. Dude, and he passed me a pipe. I have a fucking pipe in my hand. I'm like, my dad was a big crack dealer, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was huge.
So that was your dad's fridge with the...
Yeah, that was my dad's freezer, yeah.
Oh, man.
He was drying the crack and cooling it so the cut could go in with the crack so he can sell it. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? I would never smoke crack, man. What are you talking about? Oh, you crazy? I'm not a crackhead. What are you...
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I go and... all of a sudden, there's a fucking train in my ear. Beep. Then when it comes back, my head just pops. Boom. And I go, oh, shit. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. That's when I was married. That's when shit really hit the fucking fan, dude. And it was over. I said, I'm going to sell everything I have to get this. You know, so I started selling everything, man. Dude, I was lost, man.
Yeah, crack will take over your head, man. Like, you cannot pull yourself out of that. I don't know how the detox was for you to get off of that compared to opiates, which and benzos, which it was for me. I mean, it's horrifying on the inside. You're throwing up and you feel like you're in hell being tortured. Amphetamines, you get so destroyed on the exterior, it just like fries you. And then, but when I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, I just had to eat and sleep."
That's it.
And I'm like, how?
Yeah, that's all.
It's so mentally destructive, but
it's you know, they say cocaine and crack and freebase is probably one of the more addicting drugs in the world. Not because it's physical, because it's more destructive because it's all mental. It was me. That bag of coke was Jonathan. And if that's not in me, I'm not me. I need this stuff, man. Now, for anything, dude. And I would do anything for it. I'm so lucky to not have a record today.
Yeah, well, we talked about it. It's you already gave up when you were using. You said, I am that bag.
Yeah.
You know, I am the addiction.
Yeah.
That's me. And if I can't get it, then I'm not me. Then I might as well be not a person. I might as well be dead. It was it was like I've talked about on the podcast with a few other guys here. It was do or die every day in order to get it. Yeah. And when you got it, that's when you would mask it and you'd use all the things that you did wrong. You felt so bad about it, but you had to get it. And you knew you were going to feel worse if you didn't get it than if the guilt that you would get if you did those things in order to get it. So it was like this carousel of bullshit that you just had to ride on and just go around in circles and circles and circles and never getting anywhere besides, killing yourself.
Dude, it was so hard because, it was hard because of all the trauma that I've been through. There were memories that were suppressed, that my mind intelligently suppressed for me as a kid till I got into therapy. From my dad cooking. You can't cook crack in the crock pot. Anyways, just putting that out there. I know Miguel said that. So I remember my dad cooking stuff. I used to tell my school, my dad knows how to cook. He cooks all the time. This motherfucker was cooking crack.
Yeah, right there with you in the kitchen.
Man, I was like, what's that smell? But you get so used to it. Then I see these little vials all over my kitchen table. My dad taping them up. Just cutting them up and getting them ready to sell. I thought that was normal life. I'm sitting in my room playing my Nintendo. All of a sudden, my dad barges in, rips the Nintendo off of my TV, takes all the movies that we had, and left us. Left my mom. Told my mom she didn't have to work because she was good. Because my dad made a lot of money. My mom didn't have to work. She didn't have to finish school. They were together when she was 16. She was a little older than her. And we were left to nothing. I went from riding dirt bikes in front of my block. I see the ice cream truck. I just go, ice cream, get free ice cream. To sharing a 20-piece nuggets with me and my two sisters and my mom. Every once or twice a week. And I always noticed all three of us had either 6 or 7 nuggets. If you do the math, 5, 10, 15, 20, 5 per person, my mom didn't eat. She gave us extra food. And that was a struggle, I dealt with for a long time. So I had trauma really early in my life. I remember knowing whenever I watched the movie and I see someone get shot, like with a gun, and they start flying, I was like, no, that's not how that works. Yeah, and someone asked me, like, how do you know that? I was like, yeah, I saw someone get shot. They just fall, and they were like, whoa.
Yeah, that's how it goes. No big deal.
It was normal. I had to move to Virginia for a year because I was getting jumped every day. I was getting hunted in school. One time they jumped me. They ripped my jacket off, and they found my transcript, my schedule, and I started seeing them sneaking into my school, waiting for me in my classes. So it got so bad that one day I was with my friends, and they all surrounded me. And I was like, you know what? I might have to take one for the team. All the people I'm with are punks. So I aimed for the big guy, clock him, start running. trying to keep running, and I feel my shirt tear. I feel someone spin me around, and I feel something warm hit my left shoulder, right here. It was like a pinch, then warmness. I was like, ooh, what is that? Let me keep running. I'm running. I see a bunch of red stuff on my shirt. It's all ripped up. It's like, oh shit, I got stabbed.
But the adrenaline was kicked in so much that you didn't really feel it until after you probably stopped running.
Right. So it took my stepdad super gluing my cut because we got scared to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It took my dad super gluing the cut closed so I didn't bleed anymore. It was a rough time.
While you were in treatment, how did you come to terms with all this stuff?
First, I had to face them. Mm-hmm. My whole life in addiction, I never faced nothing. I turned a blind eye to all this trauma. I turned a blind eye to all this fear and all this paranoia and low self-esteem and depression. I turned a blind eye because that's what cocaine did for me. It blinded me, made me feel good. When I found out that I cannot use my daughter as an excuse to stop, I cannot use my wife at the time as an excuse to say, I need to stop for them. I need to stop for my daughter. I need to stop for my wife. I need to stop for my mom. That was never going to work out. And I realized that, seeing all these testimonies from, there were teenagers around me, to grown men, to grandfathers, to, and I realized, hearing all these opinions, all these statements, I have to be selfish. I have to see this in a way that this has to be done for me. There's no way I'm going to stop for my daughter. And this is the saddest thing for me to accept. My daughter was everything to me. I fought for 8 years just to look at her eyes, just to buy her ice cream. And I can't stop because of that? No. My therapist was like, no. You have to stop for you. Mm-hmm. You need to be selfish in this part. The only way you're going to stop is if you do it for yourself. I always lived judging myself on the past and worry about the future, and I never worried about the present. And that was one of my major issues too. I mean, there's this quote. Let's see. There's this quote I know. It's called, that's why the past is history, the future is a mystery, and today is a gift.
I learned the same thing with mindfulness, just to focus on what you can do right now.
Right.
And as addicts, we stay so focused on the past and what's going to happen in the future that we just are destroying everything in the present moment. And that's why it took 10 years for both of us to probably get on the right track.
Yeah. So, first things I had to realize was that there's no way you will be able to do it with your own strength. There's no way you can do it with your own will. Unfortunately, we can drown on an inch of water. We can trip and fall, tap our head and die. We are so weak, and we're much weaker physically and mentally than we think. There's no way that we can do this without having a higher power. There's no way you can do this without having some type of structure or form with something or someone that's stronger than you to help you back that thing up, and give you the strength you need to move forward. Yes, you are doing this program in a selfish way, as in for yourself, but you're doing it for everyone too. I went through the 12 steps, and I came to Arizona to not play any games. I came serious. I came with the plan that that's it. I'm done. So I took every step as serious as I can. I didn't play games. I took the most serious part of everything I can take, and remembered that this step 1 is saving my life. Step 2, saving my life. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Every single step that I'm doing is going to save my life, so I can be the best father to my 11-year-old, so I can be a best father to my 7-month-old right now that I have, so I can be a best future husband to my future wife, and so I can be the best person I can be. But I also had to really keep in mind and really remember that without God, it's impossible. And to all you guys out there, all you girls and guys that are kind of on the atheistic level, just remember, when the star burns and runs out of energy, it expands, and some of them call supernovas, and that burst of gas eventually comes together and creates planets, creates water, creates gold, creates rocks, and inevitably creates you. So without you being here, without you being alive today, that's one part of the universe that's missing. And if you don't feel important after that, then I don't know what will.
I started this podcast because I wanted people to come on here and share like how you did, and your vulnerability was really very relative to what we've all gone through and the struggles that a lot of us have seen in our addiction. But people like you have shown us and other people that it's possible, and you need to get to where you're at right now in your recovery. And that's what I would say to those people out there is to, exactly what he did today is what you need to do in order to get sober and stay sober. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. This was fun. Like, I had a good time.
Me too.
And so, anyways, check us out online. We're on every social media thing you could think of. And thanks again, bud. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.